I'm also retarded.
Oh crap! We're live. Intro.
What kind of fucking bullshit is like?
Dude, he does this every week.
The bad news is that civilization is crumbling around you.
Wear a dog mask, cut your dick off, bomb Palestine.
The good news is that you are not alone.
There's butthole shaving videos.
Feel bad for the minorities in LA for having to deal with the white people in LA.
You have 5 till midnight, live every Monday at 8 p.m. where you join 5 Limp Bizkit Americans to laugh at the absurd nonsense of the end of history.
Shit show right there.
Sam, stop it!
Hey,
Dude.
what?
This fucking typo wasn't with us, and then we just come back
Yeah,
on. He's
and he
just here.
appears. Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny,
All right.
dude.
We're here a day
Oh,
late.
shit.
We got no one in the chat. Oh no, we got a couple people in the chat because nobody was ready. Yeah, we're here.
Yeah. I made it right in time. I literally entered and then like the intro was going. I was like, holy
Yeah. I
Sam
saw
hit
you
live
try to-
before the intro, and I was like, I'm retarded. Cut screen.
And Luke is here. Fantastic. Cool. There's only 3 of us today, which is totally fine. But Ricky Pearsall got shot. And the state of San Francisco is now directly affecting the performance of their football team, which I think is interesting because they have such a terrible city. Yeah, only 8 minutes late this time. Thank you, Luke. Because San Francisco has such a terrible city, which is truly the India of the United States based on the open defecation numbers, that affects their football team. Maybe this is why the Patriots were so good for so long, and why Kansas City is an incredible city, by the way.
Missouri?
Yeah, it's actually not that good. I was thinking of Oklahoma City, and now I feel dumb. But regardless, okay, the Patriots, Boston, not Manchester, whatever. It's something with an M, some English crap with an M. Oh no, where's my necklace?
It's over.
What does
over,
that
dude.
mean with my necklace?
Let's
Dude,
restart the show.
restart, Sam. Ricky Pearsall got shot, and then they walked him to the ambulance, which I thought was funny.
Dude, that was crazy. I was like, I did, like that was the first thing I noticed. I was like, dude, what? He's a pro athlete. Your security in this place sucks, and the ambulance is making him walk his ass to the stretcher. Like that was crazy, dude.
Well, he got shot in the shoulder, and he weighs 300 pounds. Why not?
He's definitely 300 pounds. No, he's a wide receiver. He's probably like 180.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
He weighs
I was just thinking, like, yeah. Only like wide receivers and cornerbacks and maybe a free safety are the only ones that don't weigh like 280 at least.
Yeah, that's definitely
Or
probably
kicker.
fucking true. Kickers. Unless you're fucking Sebastian Janikowski, then you weigh 400 pounds. Throwback reference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait,
kid who
Adam,
shot
have you
him,
not
yeah.
noticed? Sorry to interrupt, but I wear the same necklace every single episode of 5 Till Midnight and I've always have it.
No, I didn't say I didn't notice. I just said it was funny
okay.
how you just stopped in the middle of a live podcast. Like, I have to go get my necklace.
Yeah, that's why I did it. I couldn't break it. What's up, Luke? What's up, Eddie? Oh, and Rex. Hello, friend.
The kid who shot him, I think he's arrested like a few months prior, and they just released him, like typical lib shit city. And he's like 17 years old.
He's 17, and they're
Yeah.
deciding to try him as an adult. As far as I'm concerned, if you're at least 16, there should be no question when you do a violent crime involving a gun or a knife. There's no reason not to charge you as an adult. You're acting like an adult.
Yeah.
Like, that sucks. I'm sure the kid did not have a good upbringing, but you got to figure that out by the time that you're drawing guns on people.
Well, he would
Yeah.
have been an astronaut if he didn't.
It's the
Failed.
damn
True
system,
scholar.
typo. It's that racist fucking system. Scholar and athlete.
Yeah, do we know
Said
the
that.
guy's name or I guess he's a minor, so they probably
he's 17.
released that stuff. Yeah.
So
I
we
know, I
don't know
think
his
they released
race.
it.
We don't know his name.
Yeah,
we
we
don't know-
do.
we can guess.
Yeah.
Well, there's
We
probably
do.
two. There's 2 options there out in San Francisco.
I'm gonna say it's more than likely one though.
Look, if you're going by statistics, then yeah, it's probably a black guy. But like, we don't know.
Watching
said
like
that.
a
Also,
white
wait a
woman-
minute. Here's an important thing, which might not apply to this crime, but the majority of like crime is within the same race, right? So I think a white guy getting shot, it might be more likely that it's by another white guy. But in a case like this, you'd have to look at the statistics, and I'm not.
No,
gonna
it was
do
a
that 'cause-
robbery
Where
though. It
was
wasn't like a fucking
Right.
domestic.
I get it. Right.
Do we know where he
exactly,
was?
which is why
He was at Union Square in San Francisco.
he was in like the
signing
middle of
shit.
downtown San Francisco.
Yeah,
Okay.
like the broad daylight. He was signing shit, and then
Wow.
he was walking away, and like a few blocks later, and then I guess he just tried to get some kids to try to push up on. He didn't even know he was like a 49er. He was like,
Yeah,
look at
that's
this
crazy.
fucking idiot. And then he just
Yeah.
tried to. And then they said the kid got hurt too. I don't think the kid got shot. Also, he got shot with his
I
own
thought
gun.
I
That'd be
read that he
fucking
did.
awesome.
We don't know. Yeah. I mean, if he wasn't like far away from him, which like in a crowded place, I'm not sure how he couldn't have been. Then I'm not surprised, especially a 17-year-old to a huge football player. Not
You're-
huge, but definitely strong. Also, this comment does make a good point. If you don't get adult rights, then you shouldn't be charged as an adult. I pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but then
I
like,
kind of agree
what do
with
you?
that.
So you just it's not like I guess it depends on the crime. I mean, it is a good point.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about it for right now.
Yeah.
So this is all on the fly thinking from me, so I could change my perspective. But like as of right now, I would say if you shoot someone in the chest, what do you do? Throw them in juvie for a year and then be like, all right, dude, get on it. Like what?
That's a good point too.
What is that? Does that correct anything? You know, it's like, what do you do then? What would be like
Yeah.
your follow through?
Luke, up the fines and sentencing for children.
There you go. Just
I mean,
go on,
like
just everyone gets charged as an adult, no matter what happens. That's
Maybe it-
who goes
yeah.
through.
maybe it doesn't make sense to charge him as an adult, but like you should still you got to get years of time for robbing somebody and shooting them, like robbing them with a gun.
Then you
Like if you're
25-year-old in juvie, like how? This is my point. It's like, how does it work?
well, he could stay in juvie until he's 18 and then go to prison.
Okay, well that's semantics. That's just,
Yeah,
that's just,
right.
it's
Like
adult prison with extra steps.
yeah, but like you could still be sentenced as a child. I don't know what the maximum sentences are for children, but like
I don't know.
It's as
I
long
don't
as it's
know. I
not
know-
lessened too much.
I know someone that they worked with like children that were sexual predators. So like they're minors that sexually assaulted other children.
Which
And
usually
one-
just means that they were assaulted themselves, which is very, very unfortunate. But
And one of
Yeah.
them was like 11. And I was like, what do you do in that situation?
you
Like,
don't
they're-
do anything.
I mean,
Well, it depends on what they did. I shouldn't say.
11,
that.
yeah, 11-year-old to what? A 2-year-old? Like that's
Yeah, like
a
what-
3 or 4.
yeah, dude. You can't have that kid walking around. You know,
No, that's
what to do.
true.
You just can't have that
That's
kid molesting children
like,
walking around.
You're 11 though. Like they definitely got assaulted. There's no way unless they're like are a demon out of the womb. That's
Both
wild.
True.
I don't know all the backstory, but they
I don't even want to
like-
look that up because that's insane.
Yeah.
That would make me
The
upset.
FBI's gonna be
but-
knocking on Sam's door in 2 seconds. Looks that
But-
up.
Look, check
Sam,
my hard
you're-
drives. I'm
I'm
clean.
pretty sure it was you,
Only
Sam,
right wing hate speech here.
in the group chat. And your comment was like after you found out about this with Ricky, is you were like, the San Francisco deserves this, but Ricky didn't, or something like that.
Is that what I said? That's
I
a
think
good
that's what
comment.
you said, and I was like, that is
Yes.
spot on. Like the city of,
Yeah.
like the city 49ers, they deserve this to happen to them, but not the player.
The
And-
Santa Clara.
Not any of the
49ers,
players, to be
first of
clear.
all,
Not just
they don't even
it's this
play
guy.
in San Francisco. They play in
Yeah.
Santa Clara, an hour and a half away from San Francisco. That's how much that.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, that's farther away than the Patriots Revolution Stadium is from Boston. That's wild.
Levi Stadium is in Santa Clara, which I'm pretty sure is like I'm gonna look it up right now, like an hour and a half or an hour or so from San Francisco. Watch me just make
So
that
then-
up on the fucking spot.
They probably should be called the Santa Clara 49ers, right?
Yeah, but the Giants should be called New Jersey
I was gonna
Giants.
say
Dude, that's what I was
I
gonna
wanna
get you.
I want
was about to
to.
get you.
I want to. I know,
Oh,
Sam.
it was a trap.
Your
I was
team
laying my
supports
trap
Kamala
card
Harris.
down.
So
I what?
your team supports Kamala Harris.
Oh, God damn it. I hate my life. I can't
No,
even.
they said that
you're
was
right.
not like like that was just someone paid for that.
Well, they got to sue them then. Like the
But,
Olympics is suing that dude.
But Joe Biden is an
Jake-
Eagles fan.
John
and
Paul.
and
John
that's
Paul.
unfortunate for
John
you.
Paul.
Yeah, he's from Scranton.
Jake. Oh, yeah. And I live in Scranton now, too.
It's an hour, 16-minute drive from San Francisco to Santa Clara.
God damn. I mean,
That's crazy.
it's Marlboro. That's what it is. The Marlboro Stadium is wild. It's not that far out of the Boston Metro though. It's from Boston proper. I think it's like an hour, but well, it depends on traffic. 17-year-olds locked in with hardened 30-year-olds probably not a great idea. I fully agree.
Agreed.
I think
Yeah.
if our prisons were better in general, they're bad in a lot of ways. then like it wouldn't be as big of a deal. But like, yeah, I don't agree with that. They're going to get victimized, you know, not necessarily sexually, maybe that,
Again,
but like in some way victimized. I don't
G
like that.
G Luck, throw in the comments what you would do then, because I made some pretty good counterpoints. I'm not disagreeing with you even. I'm just saying I made some pretty good points to why you just can't put him in jail for a year and be like, all right, I'm with you. So like, what do you do?
I have a question. Would you rather go to prison for 20 years or be someone's slave for 20 years?
Ooh, what type of like?
Depends
What are
on
we
who
doing?
the
They
owner
can
is.
whip you. They can do all those things if you're bad. Like
Okay, well, there were
straight up-
some limits legally, even
Yeah.
in American
There's
slavery.
Okay,
even like biblical.
But what am I doing though? Like, am I in the house taking like care of things, or am I out,
That's a
or am
good
I out
point.
doing
Good
physical
point.
labor?
Nah, you're on a farm.
Fuck.
Physical labor.
Where am I going to prison?
Yeah, where's prison?
Am I going to
Like
Atlanta
San Quentin?
or am I in Maine?
Right.
Is this LA?
Like club fed prison,
Yeah,
or like
yeah,
prison
yeah.
prison?
I guess that would depend on what state you commit the crime in. So I don't know, dude.
Some prisons are
You
way worse
posed the
than
question.
others.
You posed this hypothetical. Now we have
I know
questions.
you're asking me too many like spawn on questions here, and I'm like, I don't know, dude. It's just a quick like slavery or prison. It's the same
The
sentence.
same thing though.
The same sentence.
Holy crap, Luke. Not even reading that.
I'd be a slave as long as the owner isn't the ethnicity doesn't know. Yeah, fair. I guess slave, because at least I could go outside still, and I'm still getting I still kind of get jacked
Wait.
by doing stuff.
Yeah, and you
No-
get like Sundays off. You know.
Oh,
No
football.
SEX
Perfect.
stuff, right? No SEX stuff.
I don't know. I
Okay.
probably.
I'll
not.
put up with it.
Probably
I'll put up
not.
with it. I'll put up with it. I'll put up with it.
Unless there's other female slaves around, then maybe.
Oh, no. I'm talking about like non-consensual to me.
No, I know what you meant. I said I
Oh,
put up with
okay.
it.
That's
I
not.
put up
That's
with it.
not.
Yeah, that's why I was
thought
laughing
you
at.
meant for yourself.
No. That's whatever.
No, nothing like that.
I think
mean,
the idea of just the cell is rough.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not being
oh,
outside. That's what would
I-
change it for me.
I think I would take the slave. I think I'd be a slave.
Well, the problem
Yeah.
with being a slave is the same problem with being in prison, which, by the way, slavery in the United States is legal in prison and the military per the Constitution.
Yeah.
Like by the legal definition of what slavery is. The problem is that you don't get to control your life. Like that's why
Yeah.
it's bad. You don't get to make your own choices. Like
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
it's-
like
in
if
both
you're-
cases, it's like you don't know how
you-
bad it's going to be based on different
you-
factors
yeah.
because you don't get to choose.
You work for some rich person, some rich asshole that can afford you, and if they want to pack up and move you to, you know, the swamps, you're going with them. You're
Yeah.
going with them. So,
Or they can sell you to somebody.
yeah, they can
worse.
sell you. They
But
can
I
sell
still
you
get-
contract.
I still get football Sundays off, is what we're saying. Then I'm still
Well, you're
taking
supposed to
that.
go to church, but you know, you can do what you want, I guess.
You do both. Go in the morning. Game start at
When
1,
I
baby.
was
It's true.
when I was working at the historical society, this was like 1600s, 1700s. This was when Connecticut still had slavery. And I read this letter from this dude who was like, I don't remember why it was written down in a letter, but like the slaves in Connecticut were like there were a few plantations actually on the Connecticut River, but mostly it was like individual families. And from what I've read, they were treated only slightly worse or generally the same as indentured servants. And many of them were freed, and not to excuse slavery. Obviously, it's bad innately, but like many of them were freed after 7 years, which is like biblically what you're supposed to do, just like indentured servants. To the point where at the American Revolution, where they actually did end slavery in New England, it was like 50% of the black population was free. Like at the Boston Massacre, there was a guy who was mixed race, I think, who like led the Boston Massacre, like led the Americans getting shot at. Or the
I thought you meant
colonists.
the marathon bombing. I was like, what?
No.
I don't know why.
No.
I don't know why. I was just sorry, my bad.
But like it was very different. There was actually, sorry, this is the last thing I'm gonna add. There was someone from the South who came up to the North, and like they ate with a family, a rich family in Connecticut that owned one slave who lived in the attic, because that's generally how they did it with indentured servants and slaves in Connecticut. They would live in the same house, especially because it wasn't like a big
Really?
plantation. They didn't have a second house. So they would just live in the attic or wherever. But yeah, like the attic was the place that both the indentured servants and the slaves lived in the mansion that I worked in. That was from the 1700s. And they like the woman from the South came and she said, like, she made a comment. They were eating dinner together and they were eating out of like a soup cauldron, which is very normal back then. And the slave was eating with them. And the woman said, in Connecticut, they eat from the same bowl with the white hand as with the black hoof.
That's pretty wild.
Okay, Adam doesn't care. Sweet.
No, I do
yeah,
care. I literally
that's
looked up. I'm
okay.
like, that's wild.
Yeah, and then but yeah, so there was this letter I read where this guy threatened his slave to sell him to the West Indies. And like, which, okay, so this letter, that's a terrible thing, obviously, to threaten somebody with who's already enslaved. But what was really interesting from a historical lens about that to me was that, like, not only did this guy in Connecticut, this white dude who owned slaves, he knew how much worse it was in the West Indies, which was true. It wasn't an empty threat. They had like a 5-year lifespan, I think. It was really, really bad. Not only did the white guy know that, but actually the slave knew that too, because it was a threat that he took seriously.
It was probably a common threat. It was like, hey, bro, I'm seeing you at boarding school if you don't act up. Boy, you know what I'm saying?
It's like you got it real good up here. You don't want to get it worse like them down in
all 4 seasons up here. You want to go down there?
You think it's bad working 14 hours? I don't know how long they worked, but like, you think it's bad just not having any freedom here? How
did Portugal get away with like no responsibility for starting the slave trade,
dude?
Like,
because they're still poor, I guess. Like, yeah, Portugal and Belgium just get off. Like, Portugal was the worst for slavery, and then Portugal was the worst for slavery by numbers and by starting it and brutality. And then like the Belgians during colonialism were like the worst. It's hard to rank things like that, but I think in those two cases, it's pretty goddamn clear that those two groups were the worst. Like, Belgium was definitely worse than any of the English colonies, and most of the French ones probably.
Yeah,
that's wild.
It's always America and like England that gets blamed for pretty much.
We were like the last newest country to do it, I guess, and they just like fucking roll with that. I don't know. Or we're just an easy target, like, you know.
Because it's like it is, you know. I mean, there's the narrative around like we fought a civil war to end slavery and all that, so it's like we had to go to war to make the racists stop having slaves,
right?
Type mentality, I think.
Dude, I've been slowly blackpilling people around the gym of like just everything. Like,
all hope is lost.
No, the other one. Sorry, the other one. White pill, red pill. Jesus Christ,
like waking them up.
Yeah. The other one, the other pill. But I've been doing that slowly, like just dropping kernels of truth. You know?
Wait, what do you mean?
Okay.
Oh, about who did the slavery?
No, with like everything.
Oh, okay.
Like everything we believe in, like all the truth that we know to be true, like Lincoln's bad, all that shit like that.
Well,
like,
Lincoln is bad.
Sam, I know. I just said that. I'm telling all the normal people I work out with, like slowly, I'm like giving them info. I gave somebody a Mises magazine the other day and like, read this anti-war shit. They were like, "Ooh, Israel's not doing great, huh?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, right." Like shit like that. I'm talking about. Like, yeah, I'm white pilling people. I don't even white pill. I've been white pilling people like a motherfucker around the gym.
But did we really end slavery? I don't know. I mean, when you end slavery in like the black population, but then you turn around and throw like, you know, a significant portion of them behind bars for a long time, it's like, I don't know, dude. We had to ask ourselves, are they
which is legal
off?
Slavery? That's how it's defined in law. Yeah. So, I mean, there a lot of people, a lot of like left wing, like socially left wing people, make that argument, is that, you know, prison is like new slavery, new Jim Crow, whatever, and they make a good argument. I know I'm going to piss some people off with that, but if you know me, you know I'm not like, you know, on like economic and social justice stuff. I'm a little bit more left.
you're instead of prison, you're saying like we should just bring back slavery. I completely agree, dude. Like,
No. We should do what Lincoln wanted and just round them all up and send them back. Like, it really worked out well for Liberia, right? That's a great country.
Did they ever send anyone back? Like any of the slaves, maybe not America, but like any country that ended slavery, did they send them back? Is what I'm asking. Do you know of any cases like that?
I'm sorry, I got distracted by this comment.
But isn't Liberia that exact thing?
Well, that's what Liberia is, but they didn't. It was only a small percentage, and I think it was voluntary.
Right. Okay, fair. But don't they speak English over there? Like it's like an English-speaking country?
Yes, because the freed American slaves went over there and they enserfed. And serfdom, in my opinion, is another type of slavery, but they enserfed the local population, the indigenous population. And they were like the rulers, the Americo-Liberians is what they're called. They were the rulers there forever, for like, until like, I think the 2000s, maybe the 90s. Like they were in charge
a good run.
as a minority rule. Yeah, like they just like, they learned from the Americans. They did something very similar, well, and probably even more brutal that the Americans and colonists did to Native Americans.
I'm not the anthropologist on the show, so this would be
In
more
general,
for
more
you,
brutal.
Sam. But I feel like, and this is just someone who likes history, every African country hates every other African country. Like all they do is like talk shit on each other and war with each other. Okay. Do you guys ever see District 9? The movie District 9?
Yes.
Okay. You remember in the beginning in the trailer when they had like just different videos of people being like, they need to get out of here. Like, and like that was real people. They were asking about local immigrants.
Yeah.
And they filmed
them. It was South Africa, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't about like they were like they know they're going to
Yeah.
a movie, like they're being filmed for a movie and they're talking about fake aliens and shit. They were like, what do you think about, I forgot what group it was. Someone looked this up in the chat, but I forgot what group it was. But they were like, what do you think about this group? And they're like, they need to go. They need to go now. Just openly like, get the fuck out. And they're like, thank you. Go into the movie. Right. So, which fit perfectly for the narrative of the movie. But yeah, I heard
and
that.
You don't have to
like,
make people act because it's real. That's awson. That's actually really
great idea.
Cool.
Brilliant idea for the movie.
Great idea.
But I forgot what group they were talking about. But I'm 1,000% positive I'm right about what I'm saying.
Okay, well, I'm going to Google that in a second, but I want to go over these comments really quick. G-Lux says, after they ended slavery, they still kept runaway slaves in prison and sold them to the railroad companies.
Someone has to lay the trap.
That's
Illinois,
insane. I did not know that.
Illinois,
that is absolutely insane.
Illinois, it's kind of ironic because this is where like Lincoln came from. This is where he was, I think, senator. I don't know. He was something here, but they had a law in the books. Like it was like if a black person commits like, I don't know, a minimum crime, they're basically forced into like indentured servitude for like 7 years or something like that. But if you look at it, were like,
whoa,
what?
No, yeah, that didn't register at first. That's insane.
Yeah. And if you look, it was basically like a black guy showed up and they just arrest him. And then you're like, oh, you're a slave now. Like,
right.
Not a slave, but you have to work. You're
not a slave.
But it is
Wink.
legal, legally slavery. Like, because they put it in there, they put in the law, like besides in the military and prison, like you're allowed to be treated that way. And, yeah, and what he's saying here, sold them to the railroad companies. Back then, they were leasing people from prisons to companies, leasing the people, which is slavery. Like, that's what it is. Like, it's literally slavery by the law. It's just allowed because they're in prison. And this is also where loitering laws come from, and vagrancy. This is when they put them in there.
Really?
Yeah. And I think loitering laws did have a longer history in England, but they were used to do the same thing to English peasants. So it's, it's like, dude, there's so much of this stuff where like when a power structure is removed, like it tries to fight it. Like that's what the first KKK was. The first KKK was fighting against the federal government. When people think about the KKK, they're usually thinking about the second KKK, which was in the 1920s. But the first KKK
was more north, actually Midwest.
Right. It was more northern, and it was in response to black people going north.
Migrating,
and also it was anti-Catholic and anti-Jewish and all these other things. but like in the plantation structure in the South actually came from Ireland, from Northern Ireland on the Ulster plantations. A lot of the plantation owners had plantations with and served Irish Catholic people, and then they exported that system
They
to
made them
not
build
only
the railroads
Bermuda,
here,
yeah,
right?
right.
What happened?
Yeah.
Who built our railroads? Was it the Irish and Chinese, like fucking Blazing Saddles told me, or is that a lie?
Yeah. Rex. So he says the second KKK was anti-Irish. They were anti-Catholic and they were nativist. They were against. Yes, they were against Irish, but they were also against Italians, Hungarians, Slovenians, all Eastern Europeans.
KKK hates me.
Right.
Italian Catholic.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I got a comment. I think I said in 5 till midnight that the Fighting Irish got their name from fighting the KKK.
Yeah.
Apparently, they don't know for sure where the name comes from, and there's a few theories, and that's one of them. So
That's a pretty
probably
cool theory.
maybe
What's the other good one?
the other ones was from 1916. It was a name that came out of like the president, Eomen something. I didn't even pronounce his name right, but the first president after the Easter Rising, when they in 1916, when Ireland, the Irish War of Independence, it came from there, or there was like, or the Civil War was another one. The
That would
Irish
make
fighting in
sense,
the
too.
Civil War. Yeah.
There's like 40% of the Union soldiers were like Irish. It was crazy.
Pull up the GLS comment, Sam.
The what? Oh,
The GLS comment about the movie.
yeah. Disgusting as the comments are on their own, their origin makes them far more disturbing. To obtain the footage, Blomkamp simply interviewed South Africans about their thoughts on migrants. That's
Told you.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I told you. Yeah,
Well-
they were like, they have to just go. It's so funny.
Actually, there's a lot I learned about South Africa recently. Like people viewed them as like another colony of England, and they just colonized, like pushed out the Africans. When actually that's not true at all. Like the people that settled in South Africa didn't make contact with Africans for like 150 years.
Oh shit!
There
Really?
was no one down there. Yeah, there was no one there.
Really? I didn't know
there's
that at all.
maybe in the one place they were, but like the thing about South Africa is that the Bantu people, and if you talk to African people, they don't believe that Bantu is a thing that exists. But I have to. This is more of the scientific.
Wait, like they don't think this
biology
thing
side.
exists. Like they don't acknowledge them, or they're like, no, they're like it's a myth. Like,
Well, they're
which
Bantu
way?
people that say this, but Bantu from our perspective, from like Western science, like archaeology and genetic science, but they don't view it as a thing. But they are like the evidence, like as far as I know, the archaeological record shows Bantus arriving in South Africa 800 years ago. Like I think I've showed them before, maybe not on this show, but the actual indigenous people of
Could they have been in like northern South Africa, and then like the South Africans, the Dutch landed like in the south part, like by the water, and we're like, this is ours now.
I think so, but like also the native people of South Africa are Khoisan people. They're not Bantu people. Like
Why
they're
does
not
everything
really
sound like a Star
black.
Wars like race. Everything sounds like.
Where do you think
Yeah,
Star
yeah,
Wars
right.
got his names
I
from?
bet he got it.
Fair.
He got it
Well,
from cultures like this.
Listen, don't take me as a source for that information. I was listening to a South African guy tell his like the story of South Africa, and I mean he was a white dude, so I mean I
I
don't
was
know.
reading up on
That's
Rhodesia
what he said.
lately, and that's a pretty fascinating like thing. The Rhodesian Wars
Yeah.
or whatever the fuck they want to call it. I don't know what the fuck they call it.
But
Those
these are
Bantus?
Khoisan people. No.
Oh,
These are
Khoisans.
Khoisan. Bantus are much darker.
Why does one look
um,
like possibly Asian and the other one possibly not?
I think that it's a. I think that developed separately. Like it's not the.
No, I just didn't know. Maybe the sun's just in that person's eyes.
Well, no, they do have an eye. They do have a. I don't remember what it's called, but like the eyelid thing, the over eyelid.
Oh.
It's like a. They do have it, but I think it's from the desert there. And actually, some Nordic people have that as well, and all of them they develop separately. It's a separate gene. But yeah, these are Khoisan people. They don't. Let me see if I can get a comparison.
There's just like an active basically native tribe, or I guess you said the Bantus.
Well, it's
came,
more
like,
than
800
one
years
tribe.
ago.
It's a lot of tribes, but like they
okay.
still live there, but they've had a lot of land taken like by the Bantus. Yeah, but they like people in Africa, like on Twitter, when like because I'm on African Twitter a little bit just to get exposure to different parts of the world, and like they just deny that Bantus exist, like that
Wow.
it's a thing. Like, and these are Bantu people that are doing this, or at least they would be Bantu by our specification. But like they don't view it as a thing, and some of them I've had people like deny that that they arrived in South Africa 800 years ago. But there's like a clear linear downward progression of the Bantus. They expanded and they brought their cultural toolkit. They expanded with the use of their farming subsistence strategy to expand southward, and they displaced other people. And some of that's still going on today. Like there are certain Bantu tribes in the Congo, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, that hunt pygmies, which are like the small people in the Congo.
It sounds like
That's
a
a thing that
fucking fun
happens.
sport. You're hunting
They
man,
hunt
most dangerous
people.
game of all.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah,
there's
maybe you would know this, Sam. I heard that places that the British colonized in Africa seem to be better off than any other place that was colonized by any other European power.
Yeah, so that's true of not only Africa but other places as well. I mean, Malaysia is 4 times as rich as
Why do you think
Indonesia is, and they're the same ethnicity.
Why
We
do
know
you
why.
Why,
We know
why did the British do better at colonizing and maybe even preparing a population than other European?
It's the same reason why the British Empire was so successful. The British Empire, they were much less heavy-handed. They were, and there are times when they weren't, but compared to other countries, they allowed, and most of the time what they did is they, much better than other countries, they came in and they took control of local power structures, and they might have altered them a little bit, but they would go to places, and they would find the power structure that exists there. There's like certain leadership. Maybe there's a king. They don't depose the king. They leave that indigenous power structure there, and they just take control over it, which allowed them to have a lot less friction. It allowed them to have allies to fight certain people. So they eventually, they basically, like, yes, it's an empire, but they were basically, it's after feudalism, but they're, in a sense, they're vassalizing these people into the British military. So into the British, well, sometimes it's the East India Trading Company, and then other times it's like actually Britain. But that's what they did. They vassalized these groups, and then now what they've done is they've aligned this indigenous power structure that understands what's happening. They've aligned their incentive structure with their own. So it's much less expensive than to do leadership, to like do everything, because you have the leadership already there.
I was gonna say,
and then that leads to people being successful because there are people that know how to run the country, right? And that's why you have Malaysia with a GDP of like 26,000 per capita, which is the same people basically. There's multiple groups within both, but like basically the same people as Indonesia. And Indonesia, colonized by the Dutch, much more exploitative, it's like 7,000.
Because the typo, they took fucking 2 beatings here. We're like, well, that didn't work. We got to change your fucking strategy up. Fucking switch it up. That's why. I'm also sick of English people like talking about American politics. I'm like, we beat you twice, then I have to hear your opinion. So shut the fuck up.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel bad for British people, honestly.
I don't.
I mean, dude, they're like, so like we have mass migration happening here, that's for sure. But we have like land and space,
right?
We have
and
like
guns.
laws. Yeah, we have.
And
like,
our houses are cheaper.
Yeah, like everything is like spread out. I'm not saying they should be coming here. I'm not saying that should be allowed. But I'm saying it's like we can put up with it a little bit easier. Where Britain is like, I don't know how big it is, dude, but it's not that big.
It's like the size of like Connecticut. Like,
yeah, it's like Maine.
It's so fucking small, dude.
Big. And they're having like hordes of Muslims. Dude, I think London is like 70%.
like zombies.
Dude, it is.
I know. I know.
London is like 70% minority now. Like it's not even.
That's London. Yeah, London. My friend just came back from London.
It's so
He said the
crazy.
same shit.
It's
He's
crazy
like,
you're
I
not
saw,
allowed to have
like,
a problem with that.
No native Englanders there. I was
Yeah,
like,
dude.
yeah.
It's like
Yeah, no, he said that's what he said. Like he's not like as into this as we are. So it wasn't like he was coming like with our perspective. Like he was just like,
okay. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. He was just like, hey, I noticed something. I was like, no, I know, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's so like even the normies are like, dude, that didn't look like London, you know?
Yes, that's what he was saying. Him and his wife were like, where the fuck are we? I'm like, London, bitch. He went to Iceland, which he said was like really nice, and they went to Paris and fucking like he did like a whole tour of like Western Europe.
Yeah.
And he was like, it was wildly, vastly different between places that I did not expect. I was like, no, I know. You should listen to me more.
that it's coming here, buddy.
Yeah,
next,
no, fucking,
dude.
yeah, crazy, dude. It's fucking wild.
Yeah,
And by the way, that's
it's
like
weird.
not it's not racist or hard right or like fascist to want to not destabilize your country and like
Yeah.
not take in immigrants that you can't really support when you're already trillions of dollars in debt and we already have a housing crisis, wages are already so low, like we have all of these crises. Like it's so crazy that that's like assumed, and it's becoming less so like that because of the amount of huge issues that we have. But like that is
Well, I think it's because
yeah.
European countries and America. I mean, I guess you can count us as on that. But like all like if you're founded by white people, your country is being like taken over. Like no one like
Look at Germany.
like yeah, exactly. Like
Sweden
Japan,
even.
like,
Yeah,
Japan
Japan,
should
yeah.
have mainly Japanese people. Like I
Right.
think everyone's like, okay, that's fine. Like Indians
Right.
should have
Dude, yeah.
mainly Indian people. Like
Right.
that is your country. It's for your people. But for some reason, over the last decade, a couple decades, 80 years, whatever, probably after World War II, I don't really exactly know when, European or white people are not allowed to have that. Like
Right.
for whatever reason.
Well, we know the
And-
reason. They're trying to destabilize our culture.
Yeah.
Like it's that simple.
I mean, they have a point, dude. Like,
Well-
European powers were dominating for I don't even know how long, like hundreds, probably maybe
Thousands.
1,000 years. Like, years a long.
Yeah.
No,
time.
it's not even that long. It's like 500 at the most. Probably not. It's more like
But-
400.
And
But
they
type
were
of-
Christian too.
Yeah.
Specifically Christian, which I think.
But to
plays
go
a
to your
huge
point
role
though,
in
like
that.
again, people I talk to at the gym, right? Like
Mhm.
a lot of that, and I'm not talking about white or black people. I'm talking about other races that of people that I talk to who are born American, but there might be Indian or whatever. Even they're like, "Yo, what the fuck is going on?" Like even they like
yeah. Even
that's
the
what I'm saying.
immigrants
And-
are like
and
getting
be-
scared
because well, they're American born, so
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they're
yeah.
they're like, no, I care about American value and cultures, like the
Yeah.
you know the
And-
ones that actually are smart do. And they're like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, it's crazy, I know. And so it's like it's not just white dudes. Even if you're American and you identify with American ideology and American values and cultures, you care. And I'm seeing that firsthand when people I talk to. So it's not like in my fucking brain. It's not like just three white dudes here being like, we fucking have to. No, if you're American and you care about our system, you're like, stop this shit. I'm
Yeah,
talking about a
roughly-
lot of different people.
Yeah,
And their
like-
parents emigrated for different reasons and were different
Exactly.
types of people.
Exactly.
Exactly.
By
No,
the way.
even
Dude, that's a
I was
big
talking
part,
to an
you know.
Indian dude today, and he was like, my parents came here, like they had to go through the process. They came here and they integrate with American culture. It's like they didn't take, obviously they still have some Indian, culture, but like they didn't like
Their
make
kids speak English.
Yeah.
Though. Like
Yes.
they're
Even
speaking
white
English
people
to you.
have their own
Yes.
regional or like,
Right.
fucking Irish American, Italian American. Like we have that too.
Right,
That's
exactly.
fine. That
But
doesn't
we all
stop you from being
integrate
American.
with
Speaking
American
our
culture.
language is like the biggest thing.
Right.
Like
Right.
the language is the biggest thing because that if you adopt that, I mean, it's not to say that you're full fledged into the American culture, but at least the language because it does take away like if you're I don't know when I would have this problem, but I've heard this when I was in the Marine Corps. I heard a lot of my friends that were like third generation Hispanic from like Mexico or Cuba or whatever. And their grandparents were upset that they didn't speak Spanish anymore. Like they were like actually angry that they didn't speak Spanish anymore.
You moved to America, idiot.
Right.
I know. It's the. I mean, that's how I saw.
It's
it.
the
So,
same-
Like to the grandparents.
It's the same
Mhm.
exact concept when all these fucking lefties leave blue states to go to red states, and then they vote for the same exact thing they left from.
Yeah.
It's the same fucking idea. If you want to take it down to more American level, or like, it's the same shit.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, it sucks that your culture, you're losing part. That is an important part of your culture, but you move to a completely different country, and people have to. That's a norm that you have to. I think people should have to respect. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I
If
don't
I
think
went to Russia,
people
like, they're not
act
gonna
like that's
just like
asking a lot.
right.
you know?
If I went to Russia and just started doing like mad American, they'd be like, "What the fuck you doing?" I'd be like, "Yeah, you're right."
Yeah.
like they don't fucking take
Yeah.
that shit. It's so wild.
Yeah. Yeah, and the only like I went to Japan and I found a lot of Japanese people, speak English, but it's not because like, you know, they wanted to. It's 'cause, you know what I mean? Like it's because there's fucking military bases everywhere. And it's
We
like
had to
we gotta-
radiate them twice to get to that.
It helps them make more money. Like there's an incentive there. There's
Yeah,
no
and
incentive,
there is also
no
like
inherent one.
the US dollar being the global, like us having the global economy, we kind of get to dictate like how things operate. Like I don't, I'm pretty sure this is true. I might even said it on here, but if you're a pilot, I'm pretty sure you have to speak English. Like
I think
all
you're right.
pilots in the world.
I think you're right. It's like the universal language type thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what I have a buddy who's an air traffic controller, and that's what he told me. So I think that's pretty crazy, and it kind of shows at least our dominance or the easy use of the English language. But I don't know any other language, so I can't really.
See, I think I said this last episode, or which you have, I don't remember, but my grandfather was first generation American from his Italian parents. And I told you, they made him fucking learn English. Like, he didn't grow up.
Yeah.
Like, he knew some Italian because he listened to it from the house. But they're like, you're speaking English. You're not learning Italian. You're integrating with American culture. That's what we fucking came here for. And then he grew up that way. And like, he couldn't really, he knew some Italian words. He could understand them more than he could speak, but he couldn't do anything.
Do you think that was because it was kind of expected of them back then?
They pushed assimilation back
Yeah,
then.
they pushed assimilation.
I didn't know if it was like
that.
the grandparents were like, we want them to learn English because like we don't want them to get like messed with or picked on because
no, that's not what my grandfather said. This is coming from his mouth. I mean, my grandfather died when I was like 23, 24, so he lived a long time. Like, he was a good guy, but like I used to ask him questions all the time about this shit. He's like, no, he's like, my parents wanted us to completely assimilate with American culture. Like, that's why they left Italy. They came here to be American and be successful and to learn American values and culture. He's like, and I grew up only knowing that. He's like, he's like, his parents spoke Italian in the house, but him and his brothers and shit did not. They just didn't. They just didn't. Yeah.
Wow. Did you know? I guess it would be your great grandparents.
Yeah. So I'm third again from the Italian side of me. I'm third generation American, and from the English side of me, I'm like fucking all the way back to like
you go back.
Yeah, I go all the way the fuck back. But yeah, but even my grandmother on my dad's mom, she's even first generation American. Her parents came over the fucking boat too. So like that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So like the only person in my family whose parents didn't come out of Ellis Island was my dad's dad, my other grandfather. He was the one who had ties to Massachusetts and fucking England and all that shit. That's it. Everybody else is fucking Italian. That's why people are like Nutter. I'm like, yeah, I know my name, but I'm mad Italian. Like, you don't get it. Like, all I know is Italian culture. Just my name's not. My dad's even like more Italian. I mean, he's I think more than half Italian too, or at least.
Oh wow, that's kind of how it happened with me, dude. Like, I have like my grandpa from Germany. How I got my name? He came here. I don't know, 1840, somewhere around there. But that's the only person that's German in my family. Everyone else is English or maybe a little bit Italian somewhere. Yeah. But I'm like 78 or 80% English, and I have a German last name. So
yeah, I'm about 85% Italian or something like that, and the last part is English, and that's all I have in me. And people are like, "You're not." I'm like, "Dude, first of all, I look Italian. Secondly, I'm like,
you do look Italian."
Yeah, I'm like, that's all. My dad's mainly Italian. My mom's full, right? Because both my grandparents on my mom's side were again first generation American. So it's like, yeah, dude. But then I don't have the name, but I promise you. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all I know. All I know is growing up in Italian culture. All of the family's Italian. Like all the Italian shit. My grandfather makes fucking sauce every Sunday. You know, it's like that type of Italian. Like
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
I don't. All the parties were Italian on both sides. My
Sam
grandfather,
is
my dad's dad.
We're
was
Costco
an
guys. It's not Guido's anymore. It's Costco guys. I'm sorry.
I hate those guys, dude. I despise them. I know they're like
Well,
a fun
did that.
family, like trying to make videos and stuff. But every
No,
time
I
I
hate
see
them too.
one,
I'm with you.
I hate them.
I hate them too. Dude, TikTok and Insta, like social media culture made things popular and funny that we would never consider popular or funny. Someone was showing me the
agree.
Whistler today. Like that kid who's 8 years old who's doing like this shit, like the little fat chunky kid who does like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, first of all, his parents are coming up with all these ideas and pushing this on an 8-year-old, which is also psychotic in itself. Secondly, I look at it and I'm like, this isn't funny. Like nothing about this is funny. Like I don't understand. I understand why kids might like it or like dumb teens, but like if you're 27 years old and you're like, look at this, and you're like, you're fucking
The
weird.
Whistler.
Yeah, it's fucking wild. Like the Costco guy, I was like, dude, like you have all these parents just pushing shit on their kids to be famous. It's fucking weird, dude. It's I don't think it's any better than like these Hollywood parents, you know, put their kids
Oh,
into
yeah,
like
the
Disney.
child
It's the same
stars
shit.
stuff. Yeah.
It's the same shit. It's just a different time where it's easier to do from your phone, right? But it's all fucking creepy, man. It
Maybe
is,
not as bad because a lot of those child stars in Hollywood got
yeah, they get fucked and they get fucked. Totally.
But it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Like it's it's the same concept though. You're like, I'm gonna
Yeah,
make my kid do TikToks all day. You're like this kid's 8. He's going into the 3rd grade. And he has like 1 million followers and like it's wild. And again, he's not coming up with these fucking ideas like at all.
Yeah.
It's his fucking dad and mom. It's so weird.
Dude, there was one, I don't remember, it kind of blew up on TikTok at one point, but it was like some mentally ill guy. Like he was like actually retarded, and I can't remember.
I know who you're talking about.
He was
I know
a
who you're talking about.
jersey. He had a jersey. or
Yes, I
something.
know who you're talking about. Yep.
He's like, well,
Like Captain
I
of
can't
Shirts
remember.
or something like that, right? It's like something with
remember,
shirts or
but
yeah, I know you're talking about.
every time that like some team would lose, he'd be on TikTok and he'd be like, "What happened, Chargers?" Or like whatever, like
Yeah.
every week. And it turned out that like it was like his mom behind the scenes, like all this stuff came out, and she was like making him like record all this stuff, and he didn't even want to do it anymore. And I was like,
it's meant
Jesus
that
like,
might be a
Christ.
crime.
It-
That might
I
be
know
actually
it is.
illegal.
Is that slavery?
it's not Munchausen's, but it's something like that. It's something like that. I don't know what to call it. Also, Rex sends me good ideas for this podcast all the fucking time. I sent you guys the one about the alpha male boot camp. I sent that video. We should watch that next week
Okay.
because it's wild that grown men are paying $18,000 to be yelled at by people who were, and it's to piss you guys off.
What do
Hold
you?
on, they're not like combat vets, but they
What do
claim
you want him to do? Go in the military and turn gay? Like,
is it gayer than paying another man $18,000 to yell at you? What's gayer?
that's pretty crazy, dude. That's how desperate our like society is, though. I feel like it shows how desperate these people are. Jesus Christ.
Dude, I'll do it for $20. I don't care.
I am really the old school male mentality where it's like, just go lift a weight and stop being a fucking queer.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand.
Just figure it
Like,
out, dude.
Just figure it out, dude. There's a guy who takes a class in the gym I go to. It's all women, and it's like a Zumba. It's not Zumba, but it's Zumba-like. It's like a Zumba-like class, and he's in there dancing. I go downstairs and lift a fucking weight. Like it drives me fucking crazy. I'm like, he never is down in the weight part. I'm like, I just want to do both, whatever. But he's only. I'm like, go down. It's not about a gay thing, by the way, because there's a gay kid who works here who lifts every fucking day. You know what I'm saying? It's you're a man. Go fucking pick up a weight. Like I don't give a shit what hole you enter. Go pick up a fucking weight. It's crazy.
That guy is either the least or the most straight man on the planet.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. It's crazy. It makes me like I get like an anger in my chest, like a true anger in me. I'm like, I want to rip out of that class.
It's just like do what everybody else does, dude. You like, figure it out, bitch about things you can't control and blame your problems on that and then move on.
Yeah.
Like
just bench
never
press
look
your
inward,
anger away.
Never fix yourself. Just fucking plow through it. Stop being sad. That's all you got to do. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, no, for sure. Oh, hold on. I gotta take this phone call. Wait.
Do your thing, man.
Yeah.
Pull me out, sir.
Adam. Okay.
Dude,
He's taking a phone call from the Chase Oliver campaign.
whoa, what's that? What's that?
What's what?
Oh, okay. Never mind. It said Rip Paul on Twitter, and I was like, bro, no way.
No,
But
he
it's
will
just-
live on forever.
It's just a dude named Paul, so I don't even know who it was. Some guy with a gun. I probably should.
I'm glad it's not Ron Paul.
That's who I thought, dude. And I was like, no, it
course.
happened, and we're live. Are we gonna make a joke about it now? Like, what do we
No.
do?
I never joke about something like Don't even joke about something like that. Yeah, I would not do that. That's not good.
Dude, speaking of Ron Paul, he actually got in a lot of trouble because he said South Africa was better before the apartheid.
It was, by any metric, it was better. Like, I understand apartheid was still bad. You could say that and then hold the other thing in your head.
I know.
That's like,
I actually agree with that, and I think America. I mean, I don't know what the standard would be, but I think America might have been in a better place pre civil rights. Not to say that
I've talked about that before.
not to say
Black
that like
people
what they were going through
separately. Right.
was justified, but
Right. So I've said this before as well. It's like black people were better off too. Black people and white people were better off. And like when you say something like that, like people immediately like, oh, you want segregation back. It's like, no, think about this for a minute, because you have segregation, right? You can say segregation was bad. And I believe, yeah, it's bad. It's a bad thing. You know, it's a bad thing to have parallel societies with people. Like, but then when you say like, oh, it was better off then before this time, before like desegregation happened, when you're criticizing that, you're not criticizing like you're not criticizing like in favor of being segregated. You're criticizing the way that desegregation was done. And the way that desegregation was done was executed poorly and in a way that made both black and white people the result, the massive result, like when you look at it from the biggest picture outward, is that everybody's worse off. And so Smeagol says, and this is a good point, black people had the nuclear family. Fathers were still in the home, which is a better predictor of life success than race. Like people bring up like there's racist people on my timeline all the time talking about how black people are violent and whatever. It's like in their nature and stuff. And it's like, well, whatever, you know, you want to think that, that's fine. But if you look at the statistics, a white man who grows up in I think it's either without a father or like in a community that doesn't have fathers and not a father figure, like it might be more complicated, but he is more likely to go to prison than a black man who grows up with a father. So it's like the single issue, I mean, is fatherhood, and fatherhood was like destroyed. There's other factors. So yeah, like
and
everybody was better off before.
Dude, it was like upwards of like 90% of the white population had fathers in the home, and like 75 of the black population.
Yeah, I think it was even more. It was more than
Something
75.
crazy.
It was slightly more than 75.
And
but all
now,
of this, yeah.
Now it's like, well, black people is like, it's like 25 or something low. It's actually kind of depressing how low it is. And then
It's
white
very
people
bad.
are not far behind them either, at like 40%, which is
And increasing.
crazy to think about. So it's not like a black or white.
Asians are
it's
the only
happening-
ones holding it up.
Really, I didn't know that. That's
Mhm.
Asians. We're gonna take over. Dude.
Right.
We should speak.
Drug use
Start
is way
speaking
up.
Mandarin, dude. We gotta start speaking Mandarin.
Like all of these statistics are way worse for both black and white people, and they've only increased. And then there's the other races, right? But like back then, it was really like the majority of people. You have Native Americans, blacks, and whites. And yeah, G-Lux says also under desegregation, they pushed through all this stuff that broke up the families, drug laws, and welfare. Yes, that is what happened. Yeah.
Yep. The Great Society.
Everyone else got state dependency and less prosperity. That is what happened. Yeah. You watch any destructive teen show and the running theme for every kid is broken homes or absent fathers.
Yeah.
And that is an anecdotal truth. Before desegregation, black families were stronger than white families, less teenage pregnancies, more fathers in the home. I don't think it was more fathers in the home. I think it was still less, but it was they were low percentages. But yeah, they were like before desegregation. And look, so just because this is a correlation, not causation thing. In fact, I think there's a lot of other factors that are causing this, but those other factors are being pushed by the same machine, the same Moloch machine that pushed desegregation in the way that it did in the first place. Yeah, thank you, JC, for my bananas. No, I shouldn't say I own the banana plant, as it is a divine fruit, so I don't, but that does represent illegitimate scholar. Yeah, like right now there are more white babies born out of wedlock, like less there than there were for black people before desegregation. You know what I mean? We have a higher rate of single motherhood for white people today than black people did back then.
That makes sense. Actually.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Hey,
like not even close. Hey.
I do have to go though. So regardless, I want to say goodbye. Because it's night. I gotta get the fuck out of here. Love you guys. Next week we gotta watch the Alpha Boot Camp thing.
Yes, okay. We'll watch it.
That'd be funny as shit, especially with hopefully Luke's here and you have 3 military guys perspective in that. Because Rex was telling me these guys weren't even like, either he said they weren't in the military or they like never saw combat but acted like they did. I forgot what he said. Rex, if you're still here, say the thing you told me. But it was very very entertaining. I was watching it.
It'll be cringe either way.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
It's now cringe. It's somewhat cringe now to look back at our boot camp stuff. Like I'll see a video and I'm like, that sucks.
It's like gay. All right, boys. Love you.
See you, buddy.
Bye.
Love you.
Okay. All righty. Yes, I also never saw combat, but I don't pretend that I did.
Yeah, neither did I.
I am a boot, a perpetual boot.
And 29 Palms. I did go to Korea though, so that was cool. I did get the Korea Defense Medal because technically they're still at war.
Ooh. They actually let you stay there longer than 30 days. Oh, were you deployed to Korea?
I did a training. Well, so I was only going to be there like 29 days.
For everyone listening, that's what they do. They send you to Korea for 29 days so they don't have to process the medals.
But we got stuck there because a typhoon came and our boat that was going to take us back, it got canceled and they had to bring a new one. And we were there another 2 months, which was actually
was it good though?
Yeah, it was actually cool. Because they moved us we were out in the field for like the month, obviously, sleeping like shitty tents and stuff. But then they moved us to the Camp Mujik, a base there, like one of the Marine Corps base. So we got to stay on base. I mean, we were all sleeping on like racks and stuff, but I mean, it was better than nothing.
Wait,
but
what do you mean racks? Like a normal rack? Like a barracks
called?
rack?
No.
Oh, a squad bay?
What are they like? It's like a green.
A cot?
Tent. Yes, a cot. That's what it's called.
Dude. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, they weren't that bad.
Better than ship.
Yeah, exactly. But so we slept on those, and then we got Liberty and stuff. So we got to go like explore Korea. So that was actually super cool.
Nice.
Yeah, we were very happy we got stuck because we were basically not doing anything most days. After like a couple of weeks, they're like, okay, we have to do some training in the morning. They said you guys can't just like go to the gym and then do whatever you want. And we're like, damn. So
yeah, they love making you do stuff for no reason.
Yeah, I mean they had
Bricks.
nothing for us to do. We just did like stupid annual training stuff because they literally had nothing. But it was almost like a vacation in the Marine Corps, so it was like kind of cool.
Yeah, sick. All right, well, let's end it here. Thank you guys for joining us. Follow me on MySpace. Flint Dibble's a liar.
Flint Diddle is coming on me and Luke's podcast. He's just had a schedule mix up, but very world renowned, very important anthropologist. So we'll have him on. He knows the real science, unlike that worthless scum Graham Hancock. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay, you chill out. You put some respect on Graham Hancock's name.
Hey, I watched his Netflix documentary or docu-series. It was pretty good. pretty good.
All
Oh,
right.
there's wait. I was just one more. I have a question for you. I'll ask you live. Hey, that you talked about that Umbrio guy. Do you remember? Is his name Umbrio?
Umbrio? Who is
It starts
this?
with a U. I thought you talked about
Describe
this.
him, because I don't know.
Hang on, I'll pull him up really quick. What is it? It starts with a U. I see him on my. I follow him. I can't remember his name right now. He makes like videos all the time. I thought you talked about you were in contact with him, but I don't want to.
You mean Jimmy Corsetti? Too lazy to try?
No. Never mind. Maybe it was a different guy. But okay. Anyways, this guy shared a video. And there's a theory that you know how the theory. You might probably already know this stuff, but I'm asking you because I didn't know this stuff. But you know the theory that like we all came from Africa. That's like a theory.
Oh, yeah, out of Africa is like being debunked right now. I don't know what's replacing it, but they're like finding evidence it's not true.
So is the theory that there's like no one from Africa, or like humans came from multiple other places, or there's different human species? Like what?
So there's like I think I haven't looked into it that much, but I know that there's like reputable research that is starting to debunk the idea of out of Africa, and then there's a bunch of different ideas that are like as a replacement, but there's nothing like hard. There's not a lot of hard evidence. So I don't, and that's genetics. I don't know that much about genetics.
Oh, it's coming from genetics. Okay.
Yeah. It has to be because it's so old, right? It's like,
yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, there's not really artifacts that are that old, or at least there's like not enough to tell us that much.
Did you know why they thought we came from Africa?
It had to do, well, for one thing, it probably, so there was, it's the procession of the archaeological record they had access to at the time. So this idea that like they find artifacts from Africa much later, and then they find them from like the Middle East and into Europe and Asia at later times that go on. So like this was like an archaeological thing, and then now the genetics is maybe telling a different story.
Gotcha. Okay.
As far as I know, I could be wrong on how I put that. Like genetics is really not my thing, but that's my understanding, my limited understanding.
All right. I meant to ask you that earlier, but totally forgot.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, good question. Okay. For real this time. Later, everybody.
Have a good one.
We don't have a outro.
I know.